the Tigermen mod for Grand Cathay. In this video, we're going to be checking out all 12 units this mod has to offer, and in my opinion, they are DLC quality. We're going to be looking at their visuals, their stats, and of course, a little bit of combat. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're starting our first section with the lowest 3 units on this list. We have the Tigermen with daggers and chakrams. They're a dual weapon unit. They have pretty good stats across the board, and almost every unit here has 2 abilities. They're going to have the conceal ability, which pretty much hides them. They just can't attack. And then they have Eastern Elixirs, which will heal them when they're out of combat, and they can activate it. Overall, this unit to me did very well in combat. They look phenomenal. I mean, just different variant styles, hairstyles, armor variants. The modder put a bunch of work on how these look, and I think it turned out amazing. And in combat, I will say maybe I could have caught better combat footage, but the one thing I did not like in this mod is almost every single unit does that camera shake effect when you get too close to them. So I had to shoot these from all very far away so that the camera quality was good. And I don't know why, or if that's something the modder can fix, but I just feel like that they don't all need that. Usually that's something you would see with heavier units. Our next Tigerman unit, the shields and bows. Big fan of the look of this unit, and I do like that there are some variety here. Actually, some of them have a sword, others have a club. They all have a shield, and you actually have different variety of shields. So I mean, there's a lot of uniqueness on the variety side for these units, and I think it just adds a lot. The modder did a fantastic job. Overall in combat, I mean, these guys aren't overpowered in any way, in my opinion, but you do have the option for ranged fire. So I do like the versatility in that. Our last of the lower tier Tigerman units, we have the Tigermen with spears. Gotta say, I love the design again still. They still look phenomenal, and I like their weapons. Some of the spears are a little different, and they all have a very unique look in my opinion, and just a big fan of this. I could tell the modder put a lot of work into this. I'd be curious on how many hours he put into just the artistic side to this mod. But overall, I'm a big fan of this. They do pretty well in combat. These are all the lower tier units, so we are going to be jumping up after this one. Probably one of my favorite units in this mod, the Steel Pelt Tigermens. They have a great sword, and man, he did a great job on the design for this and the look. I mean, their armor looks sick. Look at this sword, the chunks missing out. I mean, just the curve to it. This is phenomenal, in my opinion, on the design and the artwork. In combat, they were actually a little hard to get them in a really good shot, but I did pretty okay. They do have an ammunition. They had to have a range attack. They throw some spinning explosives that I can't think of the actual name for these, but when they hit, they do some damage. So they get one good volley off and they can charge in. And obviously that great sword is going to be doing some work. I mean, they look phenomenal in combat. Now we're at the Steel Pelt Tigermen that have the halberds. As you can see here, I like the design of the halberd because, like, compared to the spears from earlier, you can tell they've, like, thickened the weapon up, and it makes sense. I mean, Tigermen are going to be strong. They're going to be swinging these things. They don't want their weapons to break. Huge fan of the design on this. Again, these all look phenomenal. Some have shields on their back. Some have a sword on their back. There's just a lot of variety here on the look. And these guys did really great in combat, and I got some pretty great shots showing them put to work on these infantry units. But overall, I was a big fan of this. We're now at the Steel Pelt Tigermen, so still in that middle tier, and these guys have shields, so they're just a sword and shield unit, which you can see some have actually clubs or maces. And if you noticed on the ability list, because of the better armored side to them, they did lose the concealment ability, but they still have the ability to heal themselves out of combat, which is huge. Overall, big fan of this. A little bit less variety, in my opinion, on this unit, but the armor looks really good, and he did a really good job designing these shields. They have a lot of depth to them, and they look really good in combat.
What's wrong, lads? Hey, they're running up!
Probably one of my least favorite units in this mod, and they're a high tier. Like, this would be the next jump up on tier level. I kind of don't like the look of some of these. I wish they would have just... I know you're looking at variety, but I really wish he would just put capes or hoods on all of them, because I think it fits the assassin style more than having some of them unhooded. Maybe he could have had red hoods, maybe done something like that. I would kind of wish they were a little different on the design side. And also, I just wouldn't really see myself running this unit as often compared to some of the others that I liked a lot more.
Stop shaking, you runts!
And the highest tier unit in this mod, we have the Tigermen Berserkers. As you can see, they have that conceal ability back, and they can still heal themselves outside of combat. They also have a passive called Blood Fury Unleashed. If they're winning in combat, pretty much they're going to be doing massive leadership damage, which means that they're breaking enemy troops very, very fast. And I noticed that trying to get good combat footage was difficult because of that. They were breaking these low tier units really quickly. But overall, I mean, they look phenomenal. I mean, they're carrying a massive club, and they have a ball and chain on the other hand. You cannot get much more menacing than that. This unit right here is actually a note from me to the modders, and I think that we need to see this expanded. I want to see these guys as a infantry unit. I want to see these guys armored up with like weapons, not just hurling explosives. I want to see other variants of this because the design is phenomenal. And if he can do this, I want to see him expand the roster going with these guerrillas. I think it would be a great addition, and I think it would really stand out on the modding side. Now we're at the hero section. We have the TW Shadow. He's an anti-infantry melee specialist is what it says. I don't know. Watching him fight infantry, I wasn't really impressed, so I don't know if he maybe needs a stat buff, or maybe he's focused on, like, maybe he'd be better toward, like, heavier armored infantry or like more elite units compared to low tier units. I feel like he just wasn't really cutting through a bunch of them, you know, like you would expect from anti-infantry. But he looks good. I mean, he has a good shadow design. You know, he has the dual weapons. I mean, I like that about him. He was probably just my least favorite between the heroes and the lords. Now we have Chandra's Vanguard. Amazing design, by the way. I like that his standing here posture is him holding that smaller sword. When he's in combat, he does use that larger sword up top, and he has a great design. I do think watching him fight, I have a feeling he's probably more focused on actually fighting other heroes, or other larger, just pretty much individual units. But I will say this, that fighting other infantry units, I think he needs like a mass increase or something like that, because it just doesn't feel like he has as much impact with his weapon as he should, because I feel like he should be the more brawn hero style, really making splashes, like add some splash damage or something to make it look a little better in combat. But overall, he has a great design, so I think maybe the modder just tweaks this a little bit more to get the most out of him. More flashy. Now, where the modder kind of lacked on the hero side to me, he made up for on the Lord side. This is the Jade Claw Warlord, and phenomenal look. Looks great in combat, does a great job, has really good abilities, has abilities that pretty much buff those around him. He has some attack abilities that are like magic missiles, summoning attack, has blast powder bombs. So he does have a little bit of variety in there between offensive and actually buffing those around him, but he just does so well in combat, and he looks really, really good. And then you just really can't beat watching this. I had a really great time just pretty much enjoying this moment in combat, especially this kick here in a second. Whenever he just randomly kicks, it surprised me. But it looks really good. Huge thank you for watching this mod spotlight. This is the end of the video, so thank you. Don't forget to check out the description so you can go to this mod. The links are all going to be there. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I will catch you in the next mod spotlight.